going to somebody that he trusted, that he thought he might be able to rely on to get some of this information. And somebody talked to me about this too, like why would they frame it like that to Dooby? Because he thinks of you as a friend. He's expressing his concerns to you. Look, is that a real question? Can you just tell me what you think instead of like asking me questions that like are made out to like make me look like I'm dumb?
Like how's an Anna the abuser there? Like why would he?
I think he thinks it's mutually abusive. I think he thinks that it's mutually abusive.
You know if he reached out to any of Anna's former lovers and tried to figure out if this is a pattern for her? It would be like so how would you react? Right. So like let's say you are in a situation where a friend of yours we've just been told that a friend of yours is like abusing some girl, keeping her as basically like an e-sex slave. Right, which is what Anna basically said that he was doing, right? Mm-hmm. How would you react to that? And like, what would be your like next step?
I'd probably try to reach out to them right away, make sure that they're okay. I'd be more concerned about them.
Yeah, okay, but so after you speak to the Anna in the situation, to the victim, like, what do you do with your friend?
I'm not sure. It would depend on which friend, and I don't think I'd bring it up to them though right away. I think I'd try to figure out. Yeah, I think I would do something similar to Mr. Girl. I think I'd be really freaked out. And it's impossible for me to say exactly what I would do, but like I said, I've talked to like some of my friends. Like when this first happened, I talked to my wife and girlfriend and said that if anything like this ever happened, like somebody thought this of me, I hope that they would look into it behind my back and not let me have any way of interfering with that. And they would try to hold me accountable if they thought I was doing something fucked up. That's what kind of friends I want.
Wait, that doesn't. So if I heard, let's say I heard that
starts with the letter. Let's see if you can figure it out. That there's something that starts with the letter P that you can reach out to for these things.
Penis. Wait.
Well, some of them do have those. As a matter of fact, the majority of them actually have those.
Phone? I don't know what you're.
Well, you can use a phone to get a hold of them. That's for sure.
Police.
Mm-hmm.
The policia.
Sure, but what if it's something just really shitty? It's not illegal.
If they're a slave, if they're being.
Oh, he's an e-sex slave. I don't know the legality of this.
I mean, the whole thing is about. Okay, go ahead.
It's really,
Sorry, go ahead, Dooby.
Okay, so you would investigate, right, behind your friend's back. But like, do you see how like I don't understand how that makes any sense, honestly. So if somebody's like your friend, right, and you find out that they might be doing this terrible thing, and you have firsthand account of this terrible thing from a victim, to me, the reasonable thing to do seems to if it's illegal, go to the police. If it's not, confront the friend and say, hey, why are you doing this terrible thing? I don't think it makes sense to go around and ask a bunch of people in the background. Ask the enemies of your friend, people that you know dislike your friend, right? With like leading questions and talk about like disturbing cases of abuse and whatnot that you're finding. That just doesn't make sense to me. Why would you go and look for like a ring of like abuse when you have an abuse victim in front of you? And why is it ever reasonable to go around and talk to other people and not confront the person that's doing the harm?
Sure. So for one, I think that it'd be a really bad idea. This isn't even an argument that I would make, but since you're framing it to me this way, as if it's me, I don't want to go and talk to my friend because they're my friend. One, I don't want to think that they're capable of doing something like this. So if I talk to them, I'm going to be super, super willing to hear anything they say is truthful to make me not believe that my friend did that.
What?
Plain and simple.
So do you just like never confront them? Like when do you confront them?
No, wait. That's not what I said. But like, do you think that's fair that I'm going to be super like wanting to just hear anything my friend
You're
says
going to want an
as a
explanation,
rationale?
and you're going to be biased toward an explanation that makes him not be an asshole. Sure, but at some point, I'm assuming you're going to talk to your friend about this terrible thing you've heard they're doing.
If I think that if I find out there's a victim, I'm probably going to look and see if there's any others. And when I figure out what I think is actually going on, the full scope of it, then I'm going to go to my friend. I'm going to say, hey man, this is what I found out, and then I looked at this other stuff. Here's what I have. Can you explain this?
Wait, why would you assume that there's like a network of victims, or like that there's like a, because like so if we're gonna be like specific to the Destiny and MrGirl's situation, right? So Destiny has had lots of friends, male and female, come onto his stream and go through a pattern where they get introduced to the community, they hang around on streams, they get into arguments. Eventually, they say something dumb, or people disagree with them, so they get pushed out, and yada yada. Right? That's it happens all the fucking time on just like in streams, right? And I'm sure it's happened in other people's streams here too.
Sure.
So this isn't like something that's specific to women, right? So why would he go around and talk specifically to women about a pattern of abuse, quote unquote, that was also happening to males on the stream?
Okay.
It's happening to everybody
So-
that came on.
Sure. Okay. So what you're telling me isn't like there's like a moral wrong being done. All you're really doing is telling me that you don't agree with the reasoning that he used when coming to this conclusion.
No, not sure.
Um.
I think there is a moral wrong.
Okay.
I think that if you've expressed to somebody that you're their friend, that you're not going to backstab them, you're not going to betray them, you've pressured them to be vulnerable and open and honest with you, right? And it seems like in lots of ways, Destiny was being open and honest and vulnerable with Max. So it seems like if you have that kind of relationship with somebody, you don't sneak around behind their back and look for like a pattern of abuse that you can use to like Me Too them, right? You just go to them directly, say, "Hey,
don't like this
found out this.
framing.
I found out this awful thing." Well, this is the frame that he was giving me. He found a disturbing pattern of abuse. Right? He's hearing some disturbing shit from people that he was speaking to. Right? That's the framework that he gave me. Right?
Yeah, but he gave that to you. He gave that to you, and that wasn't the same as going public with. He wasn't trying to tell everybody who had ears to hear it that. He was going to somebody that he trusted, that he thought he might be able to rely on to get some of this information. And somebody talked to me about this too. Like, why would they frame it like that to Dooby? Because he thinks of you as a friend. He's expressing his
Bullshit.
concerns to you.
Bullshit.
Look, okay, that's fine. You don't have to believe me, but that's okay. Look, you're coming to me knowing that I'm going to give a good faith, like
Yeah, and I want you
interpretation
to.
on
Right?
Mr.
I'm
Girl's
not
end.
attacking you for it. I'm just telling you that I
Right,
think it's
well, he's saying
bullshit
that
that
it's
he would see me
bullshit.
as a friend. Right? So, let me
I
tell you why.
don't.
Right? Well, I do. We've had like a handful of conversations on stream. I co-hosted the hotline for him. We've
Yeah.
had like a few conversations in DMs that weren't really personal or about stream shit. Like we're not friends, right? So, and I don't
He's
believe
called
that
you his friend.
that doesn't mean that I am his friend.
Yeah, but
That
that's
doesn't
how
mean
he
that we're
feels
actually
about it.
friends.
Yeah, but that's how
I
he
don't
feels
believe
about
that.
it.
They've talked
I don't believe
twice.
that.
Okay,
But
sure.
so beyond that, so I don't understand why he would think that I owe him any kind of honesty, if he's backstabbing somebody who's actually his friend, right?
This is still-
Who actually has had personal conversations and been introduced to his life in some way, right? And beyond that, I don't see how how coming to me and other people, because he'd already spoken to other people about this before he came to me, is in any way not making this public, right? Because when you go around and you present leading questions to people about disturbing cases of abuses that you're finding, about a friend's quote unquote friend, right? And just multiple people, well, now in the background, all these people think that there's a disturbing pattern of abuse just under the surface, and oh God, you're looking for evidence, you're going to try to get these girls to come forward, and oh God, hopefully you do, but there's a chance that you're not going to get them to come forward. And now all these people in the background just think he's a piece of shit with no fucking evidence. Right. So like it's not as simple as like, oh well, he told you in secret, so like that's not making it public. No, all this shit exists in the background and people talk and it spreads around.
Okay.
Yeah, so I do think that's a moral wrong. I think it was extremely wrong for him to do that.
Yeah,
Guys,
I
We had a
understand that.
super
So
chat.
that
Can
all
I-
the things that you
Can I just read a super chat real quick and then I'll go give it back to you guys. The tribe says for $5, no, Dooby is being unfair. If you don't feel a friend is a rapist, then going straight to your friend who maybe is a rapist is a bad idea. They'd be last.
Wait, hold on. So if your friend's victim came to you and said, "Hey, your friend raped me," you'd probably go to the police. Or for some reason you couldn't go to the police. Well, let's say it happened like 10 years ago or something. You'd go to your friend directly. You wouldn't go looking for other girls your friend raped, right? Or potentially raped, right? You would just go to the friend and say, "Hey, this girl said you fucking raped her," right? Like that should be enough to confront him.
Yeah, like
So,
I
I
actually do agree with Dooby here. Like there's it's a weird fucking standard as well, because it's not happening in a vacuum, right? It's not happening in a say where
Yeah.
everything's fine, everything's cool, Max and Destiny are like getting on really well, and then suddenly Max hears some information, is like, holy shit, I need to do something. Max is in a position where he's falling out with Destiny and then gets
Yeah.
that information.
And it's
Then makes those
literally
claims.
the
So even if
catalyst
it's
was it.
true,
was a day before that, so he has to blow up with Steven on the 26th and then starts embarking on this investigation on the 27th, right?
No. Okay, I don't know what you mean when you say blow up. I don't know which part of the timeline you're talking about here.
Well,
So I was going to push back, but we might be thinking of two different things. I don't want to do that if I'm.
okay, so I know, like, my biggest concern is a couple different factors in here. One would be the perverse incentive that's there because he's been in a building emotional turmoil with Steven for a month and a half.
Yep.
Right. And it was peaking out at that point. Just a week before that, a little more than a week before that, there's a whole incident with Lav and Steven calling her a dumb bitch.
Yep.
So, and there were lots of things that were building up at the point. They were spending a lot of time on his stream, arguing with him, and the day before that was the whole the forethought ban, right? Where forethought banned him from the subreddit, and he got into a fight with forethought on Steven's channel with him.
Yep.
So, so there were a lot of very obvious, very public, very high tension, and emotionally charged disagreements with Steven and Steven's community that he had. But then I think probably the most, the biggest ethical problem that I see here is the fact that Max even considers himself capable of being the one to investigate this in a responsible manner. He should be the first to, like, people need to tell him, Max, you are wholly incapable of doing this properly. You are compromised, and it's obvious to everybody. You are emotionally compromised. You're way too close to this. If you think there's an issue, it should be somebody else who's not nearly as close to this as you are, who isn't nearly as emotionally compromised as you are, who should be doing this, and you should be staying completely out of it. So that's the really big issue here. Is that he's the worst possible person to be doing this, which you already agreed with me on that when we talked about it before.
Yeah,
right?
I was gonna say I can agree with that. That I think it's bad for MrGirl to be the one doing it. Also, I think it's bad for the I think it's bad for the him invest. I think it's bad for like any investigation that he's the one doing it. But at the same time, too, looking at what happened, I think that it's pretty clear that there's not going to be a lot of people who want to do this. Nobody else is even going to agree that it needs. Nobody else even agrees that it should be even being done. This has been the most chaotic, crazy, vicious pushback on like anything I've ever seen in Twitch politics. And like, I've been a fan of Destiny's for like forever, since before like anybody on my screen was like even known to me. So I don't know. I think that it's probably pretty likely that there wasn't really anybody else that would have done it. And
Because
and
it's
at the very
bullshit.
least, I think it's
That's
okay,
not
sure.
true. It's not true. It's
I was
not
gonna say,
necessarily true.
It's not necessarily
but
true, but I think it's reasonable to feel that way
It's reasonable to feel that way,
and be convinced that.
But the thing is, in the meantime, because this also does damage to Destiny, because Max, as emotionally compromised as he is, has a lot of ability to introduce a shit ton of bias into this and to create more problems. And he's stirring up shit with people who have massive beef with Steven now, right? Bad Bunny and Denims among them. Huge beef with Destiny, especially Bad Bunny. So
I don't think he want a piece of DGG right now. It's pretty nasty.
It doesn't really matter. But the thing is that Max, in his compromised emotional state, can easily introduce a metric ton of bias that can cause a lot of problems. And Steven already has a bunch of false allegations from outsiders that are constantly perpetuating those things. And I talked to you about that as well, right? I talked to you about the fact that there are people continuing to this day to say that Steven raped Melina.
Oh, no, I never heard that. We did not talk about this because that's the first time I've ever heard of that.
Yeah, I don't think we talked about it on stream together, but I thought you were there in my stream when I was talking about that.
I probably had to dip in. I didn't say anything because I just lurked for you.
Yeah, no, this is a thing that's been going around for a year now. It was first perpetuated a year ago, back when they were still affianced and not married, and they still perpetuate it today, even after they're married. And it's something that it gets championed every once in a while. It resurfaces, it gets shared around. A bunch of people share it around, and it's disgusting. And so Max, being as emotionally compromised as he is, stepping into this thing and trying to be the investigator is, I think he's absolutely introducing a ton of bias into it already, and I've been able to perceive that myself. But even if he wasn't, it's wholly irresponsible for him to try to take on this investigation. Just compromise it and do damage to both of them.
I do think that there is a compromising factor there. I don't know if he realized that at the time, but also too, a lot of the things that are happening to Destiny are happening post Destiny making it public that this is happening. Because Destiny is I wouldn't have heard of it when I did if Destiny hadn't, and I didn't even hear about it till like 7-8 hours after all this shit happened. I was trying to spend time with my family. My phone was blowing up like crazy.
Yeah, well, I
getting
guess the issue is that if he hadn't come
messages.
forward with it, right, Max would have and put his own spin on it.
I'm not saying that Destiny was wrong to do it. I'm just saying that this is how things have panned out. And I am inclined to believe that Mr. Girl was where he was at with it, and he was still looking into things. And it may not have been framed in the way that it ended up being framed had that not happened. That's all I'm trying to say there. I'm not saying Destiny was wrong to do it.
That you're hearing disturbing shit, and there's a disturbing pattern of abuse, right? It seems like the framing it already exists. You know, like that's how
That's what he's looking into. Yeah. Do you think that he didn't hear that?
Yeah.
Do you think he made that up when he talked to you? And he's
hold on. Well, I think it depends, right? So if the disturbing shit he's talking about is Anna's testimony, and he knows how unreliable Anna is. Everybody knows how fucking unreliable Anna is.
Well, he's contested how unreliable he is. He's said prior to any of this happening too that he's uncomfortable with Anna being framed as like a crazy person, and he's pointed out too that like the only reason people think that is because Destiny says that. So we can see some kind of like idea building up to this too. Like a lot of people think too that like Mr. Girl knows how all this streaming shit works and like how everybody operates, and he doesn't. He just started streaming like less than a year ago, and prior to that, he's watched 0 streams. He's fairly naive to a lot of things. I pointed out things that I thought were like really weird or crazy to do. Like he had the sky in his music video, and he told us that it was in his backyard. He had since moved, but I told him, "Hey, people might use that to dox you," and he said, "I've moved since then." And I was like, "Oh, my bad." He goes, "No,
I'll be
tell me
right
stuff
back.
like that. I'm pretty naive."
I'm still listening,
Like,
but I'll be right back.
No, I feel like what's happening here is that okay. So even if he's new to the scene and new to like how things work, he has had a year, and he has interacted with some of the most influential people on YouTube and Twitter, on Twitch. And you don't think that Destiny or anybody that he's interacted with has said, "Hey, maybe you shouldn't do it this way." They've actually talked about it on stream before, live on stream. So this goes back to what Dooby and Stardust were talking about yesterday, when people are saying Anna's not as culpable as as everybody makes her out to be. Well, she kind of is. She knows the way of the internet, and she still does the things that she shouldn't be doing. So saying like, "Oh, he's new to this," he's not new to this. He knows what he should and shouldn't do. He just decides what he wants to do.
Who did we lose?
Because he's been told.
Okay, I don't think that having interacted for less than a year says that you're going to know everything. I don't think that interacting with Destiny means that you learn everything. Okay,
that's not what I said.
Okay,
I did say that they discussed it on stream, live on stream, on multiple occasions.
Okay, maybe what I'm saying will make more sense if like I didn't correct you, or you didn't want me to correct you when you said something that was actually wrong.
Go ahead.
Okay, so throughout the time that he's been online and streaming, one of the most consistent behaviors that Mr. Girl's expressed is that he thinks things are bad the way that they're happening. He said, like, "I think this is wrong. I think this is fucked up how people behave." He has pushed back against the way, like, the norms of content creator culture and how they interact with each other and how they treat each other and just all of it. that is like one of the most consistent themes of his content is that he thinks this is all fucked up.
Is
So
he a child?
is that a real question? Can you just tell me what you think instead of like asking me questions that like are made out to like make me look like I'm dumb?
Fine. I think that
You're dumb
if
as fuck.
he
That's
is,
why. What the
I
fuck?
think
just
that
say
if
that.
no, that's not what I'm saying at all. He's saying that.
I'm
All right?
saying that.
I'm saying that if he's the way that you're saying that he is, then he's responding to the world and to the spheres that he's in like a child. Because the world is not here to bow to what you decide is right for the world. If you want to live your life a certain way, that's fine. But you can't go into somebody else's community and then try to dictate how that community and how the person who runs the community is supposed to be run. It's absolutely
can't?
absurd to think, no, you can't. That's absolutely
I think
absurd.
he did.
Yeah, he did, and he got backlash for it. And his backlash
Okay.
for it decided to spend him into a spiral that's like, oh, well, if he's going to say these hurtful things about me because I don't, I don't, or he's going to allow his communities to say these hurtful things, I'm going to dig shit up about it. That's what
That's not
everybody.
exactly how that went. I
And
think that's a poor
also,
framing.
I
Quick,
also want to
really
provide
quick.
a little
Go ahead.
quick
Go ahead, Zonia. Sorry.
clarification that Max is not new at all to either the internet or the news
see.
media and public
Right.
backlash. He's gotten a metric ton of public backlash from both mainstream media appearances as well as from internet activity. And he is intimately familiar with this stuff and how it works. He knows how toxic it is. So let's just keep it real with what with his experiences.
And not to mention if his introduction to society or to the YouTube and Twitch society was to post the cuties video, like you can't say that he doesn't know how the world works and have him post that and not expect the backlash that he got or the backlash that he does get for the videos that he does post, because he does post to have that wow factor, that oh, I want to make people think. But you can't do that and have your cake and eat it too.
Nice.
I don't know where I said any of those things. All I did was try to demonstrate that there is some naivety when like interacting. How everybody say like, well, he should have done it this way. He should have done things this way. Everybody here like knows that this is how this works. And I'm saying like I give a little bit of charity saying maybe he doesn't, because every time something comes up that's new to him, he talks about it and he talks about how he doesn't like it and he won't participate in that way. It's been demonstrated. That's all
It's
I'm
not
trying to say.
because
And I'm
it's
not
new
saying
to
that.
him.
I'm not saying.
But it's not
What,
because
you think
it's
he's
new to him.
reacting to
It's
something that he already knew? Like what?
Yes, it's something that he's reacting to that he's had to react to before. That's why it frustrates him
And
so
also,
much.
If I
I don't
and
can,
know.
if
something
I
that he
can,
also drummed up himself, right? He was well aware of the kind of shitstorm that he could get with the kind of activity that he was engaged in.
That's what I'm trying
He
to
yeah,
explain.
he
Like,
got so much backlash from the original Cuties review.
I'm not saying that he's not
So
equipped to deal with people having backlash. I'm just saying that everybody's making these prescriptions and saying like, well, that's not how this works in this space or whatever. Like, I'm saying that's fine, but I do believe that he didn't know that's how all these things did work in this space until he came face to face with it and realized what was going on. Which I don't think it's that crazy, because like I don't use fucking Reddit at all. Like now I use it like a little tiny bit, and I didn't know a lot of the things that people are saying that he was doing on Reddit that they think is crazy or unhinged. Like I would have had no fucking idea about any of that. So I think it's pretty reasonable to think that he wouldn't have known that either, because I didn't know, and I literally work in IT.
you're
I sit on my
treating
ass
him
in front of
like
the computer all the
you're
time.
treating him
So
like he
you're-
just got on the
I'm getting him the
internet.
same charity.
He's in his
So
late 30s. He's been on the internet
He's 2
longer
years
than
older
you.
than me.
So you're
He's-
persuaded the things
he's
that you
got-
think you would think.
it's not like Mr. Girl doesn't have a history of content creation, right? Like he's been around these parts. He's been doing this for like 15 years, right?
I'm talking about streaming.
In some way or the other, right? Well, streaming, yeah, but like even online content creation is like you do expect a certain amount of backlash at a certain point. And
Yeah.
rule number 1 of the internet is to not engage, not feed the trolls, right? So
Yeah, and the
I think
Cuties
that
backlash
says
was
coming off the wrong way
massive.
then.
And the cuties
Every-
Guys, I'm
backlash was
sorry.
massive. It was
Sorry,
bigger
just
than
got
this.
a nice tip that you might want to look at.
Oh,
Ooh.
oh my God, Jesus, Cal! Thank you for the $100 tip. Holy shit! Thank you. That's so kind of you. Wow.
Oh, congrats. Yeah,
Thanks.
I think maybe what I said is coming off in a way that I didn't mean to, because everybody's response seems to be responding to something that I'm not trying to express. So I must have been in the way that I worded it or something, because I'm a little bit confused. I feel like the last 4 responses are to something that I wasn't trying to say, but that's probably on me.
Which is
What I'm saying is I was just trying to express that there's a general like I extend the charity that there's a general way of not knowing how some things work. I'm not saying that he shouldn't expect that he doesn't know that there's going to be backlash or anything like that, which is what a lot of people are saying to me. I'm just saying like with the Reddit thing, like how much he commented, I would have had no idea that that was not like okay.
that's because that's the way you think about it, as opposed to the way he thinks about it. That's what you're doing. You're
Yeah,
prescribing
well,
your
like,
thoughts
similar
onto
level-
him.
Yeah, that's how you engage in charity. That's how that
No.
works.
I
Yeah,
think
it's
the way
stupid
that
as
we're
fuck.
trying
That's what
to.
it is.
No,
Okay.
I think I don't stop listening to him. He's just here to push at you.
Yeah, it's
Um,
not very effective, so he can go off all he wants.
No, I think the reason why we're all having issues is the fact that regardless of whether he's a streamer or not, that's just not how you react to things online at all. Like that's you don't continuously engage in something that upsets you that much. Like that you don't do that in life unless it's a job. Like
Sure,
And,
lots
you
of
know,
people
and
fall
as
into
a-
that trap,
and-
right?
Well, you're talking about not even a new adult, somebody who's been an adult for a very long time. You have a responsibility. You know, you're there in the adult world, independent. If you keep going back and doing harm to yourself, it's on you. And I honestly, genuinely thought it was a really good idea that Forethought banned Max from the subreddit. I felt that was a good thing because Max couldn't stop from self-harming on that subreddit, and I think you would agree with that as well, because I think you and I both agreed he was a little too obsessed with that stuff.
Yeah, that may very
Yeah.
well have been the case. Also, super base that you agree that self harm is bad. I appreciate that. Thank you very much, Sonia.
I think
Well, I like
700 plus 700 plus votes though, not
Good
votes.
one.
700 plus posts on that subreddit is like you're engaging with people who are hating you unreasonably, and you are breaking like one of these unwritten rules of the internet where you just don't engage with people who aren't giving you constructive criticism. And yeah, 700 plus is like overboard. It's
it was
very
comments. Somebody in my chat wanted to point out that it was comments, not posts. But like I said, like when I heard that
Yeah,
number,
even
like, I didn't know
comments,
if that was
though.
high or
Oh.
not. I didn't know.
It's
Oh
high.
yeah, 700
It's
is
really
a lot.
high.
It's more.
That's a
It's
lot.
more than
Been
Destiny's
since.
posted in his own subreddit. That is crazy.
Yeah.
to me. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
I only know that because other people have told me that and acted like it's crazy that I didn't know that. But my engagement with Reddit has like literally just been like a body weight fit, like a calisthenic Reddit. Like that's like the number one that I've ever visited. And there's no need for me to post. I'm just reading stuff. So like I don't know how people
Somebody-
engage with Reddit.
And-
Like if
and
you look at
for-
Twitter,
here-
people
here's the thing.
tweet like 1,000 tweets in a month. Like I don't know what is like what's schizo and what's normal on any of these different platforms. And so yeah, of course I'm gonna be able to understand that if somebody else has very little engagement with it prior, that they might not know either.
So, have you
Nobody's
heard?
coming and saying like we try to
have-
talk to him, say like, hey,
have
this is
you
way
heard-
too much.
Have
and
you
he
heard
didn't
my
get it.
bartender thing? My bartender spiel. I don't know if you've heard that, ElderDrazi.
I'm not sure if I have, but I could listen to you
So-
talk about it again if that's the case.
So sometimes a streamer or moderator or admin has to act like a bartender, right? And be
Yeah.
like, okay, this person, you've had enough. I'm cutting you off, and that's what
Sure.
Forethought is doing, and that's and that's kind of just what has to be done sometimes. Max is clearly way too attached to certain things, and was just going overboard with things and hurting
I don't
himself.
disagree.
He was stressed out about it and everything. Lav also had this problem, and so now the thing is, we can't just say, "Oh, well, there's something wrong with them, and therefore it's excusable." We still have to hold them to that responsibility. But sometimes an admin or someone, or some kind of mod or something needs to step in and cut them off to stop them from engaging in the cycle. And
Mhm.
then the people who care about them, people who are their friends and their supporters, need to go and look at that person and say, hey, by the way, you've got a problem. You need to stop. That's what needs to
Sure.
be done. Like, you need to turn your focus on Max. Say, Max, I'm worried about you. You need to back off. You need to stop. You need to take a step back. You're not thinking clearly. This isn't healthy.
I don't necessarily disagree with what you're saying, but like at the same time, I wasn't rallying against this. The only issue that I had with it was the messaging on it. When Forethought banned him, he basically said, I did it because fuck you, and I'm going to ban Mr. Girl fans because fuck them too. I don't like them. And that's why I was talking to Irrelevant. Destiny came to me and had a conversation with me, and then he told me what the actual reason was. And I said, I think you have every right to do that. It's your community. You can do it for whatever reason you want. But I think that the messaging about it is really confusing and bad and causing a lot more problems. And he gave me the real reason. And I said, cool. Like, you have every right to do it either way. But everything is a lot better, I think, having that said. And it was just basically that he didn't want a secondary culture to form in his community to form in his community, and to like tear apart his community from the inside. And I said, yeah, that's cool, that's fine. That's the only complaint I've ever had about it, is that it was the way that Forethought had presented it, which was all we had for a very long time, was very antagonistic towards Mr. Girl and his community. And I thought that that was kind of fucked up to do. I mean, you still have the right to do it, but like, I can see, yeah, I think this is fucked up. Destiny's reasoning for it was, which is more valid because it's his subreddit anyway, which I thought was totally fine. And I said, yeah, that's fine. I don't care if he got banned. I think the bartender analogy is great. And if it's bad, like everybody's telling me it is, I have no reason to believe that it's not. Then sure, he could have been banned and had time to cool off. It would have been probably cooler if people had like discussed it with him in a reasonable way so that he understood what the issue was. I don't know if that happened or not, but like I never was hard on this. I just thought that the messaging on it was really fucked up.
So Elder, you can see like from the reaction of like a lot of people in this, like everyone's got like, I suppose, different levels of investment in
Sure.
how they feel like this. Like, but can you understand like how when you're on Twitter and you're pushing back against comments, or you're saying like, oh, it's, I think there were, I don't want to like, I'm going to paraphrase your tweets a little bit so you can
Sure.
push back on this if you want to, but things like, oh, I really need to see that interview, I need to see how things go, oh, I'm not sure how I'd read this, I trust Mr. Girl, like it reads to a lot of people like you're a final line of defense rather than taking any of the criticism on board. It seems like you're just running a deflection.
Sure, I get that. Also, I understand why everybody thinks what they think. I'm not like blind to why people have the positions that they have. But when somebody says something to me and it goes against what I believe, like it's just that I'm saying like, I'd be really interested to like see these things that you're talking about, so that way I can make an informed decision for myself. Everything that I've taken a stance on are things that I have watched, I've listened to. These are things that I have taken in and sort of like weighed against like how I feel about it. If somebody's just going to tell me something, like people say all kinds of crazy shit on Twitter. I don't know if what they're saying is accurate or if their interpretation of it's accurate. I want to see it for myself. So I'm giving them the charity to say, hey, maybe you're right, but I'd have to see the thing you're talking about. Send me links, send me videos. I'll check it out. And then if you're right, I'll tell you you're right. And if I still feel the same, I can explain why I still feel the same. This is me extending charity to the people that are telling me they think I'm wrong. Does that make sense? I understand how it might not come off that way, but like that's absolutely what I'm trying to do. I try to be really charitable to everybody.
You're asking for them for proof on your behalf,
Well,
as opposed to like
I'm asking them for proof
yourself,
that they tell me I'm wrong.
as opposed
But
to for you to think about it yourself.
I can't think about what I don't have access to. If they're telling me like this happened and this happened, like, or like this person said some things and like this is what their conclusions. Show me what they said. Yeah, I'm trying to think for myself. What are you talking about?
But you're not.
Oh wait, it's you. I'm sorry. I didn't realize who was speaking. My bad.
Because you're dumb as fuck. That's why.
I think
Good
what's
one.
interesting is like generally
Should
speaking,
run that one back like 3 more times.
everyone's
Good luck.
reaction to you as a person, Elder, like because most of us have had interactions with you, is fairly positive, right? So like you
I
seem
think so.
pretty rational. Generally speaking, like other conversations, it just seems a bit out there on this. Like, and I get it that you've got like an attachment to Max, like as a friend.
I don't think he's my friend. He's like my favorite content creator. I probably watch his stuff more than
Parasocial.
everybody here. Cool. I probably watch more than anything. Yeah, absolutely Parasocial. I think that Max is one of the most parasocial streamers possible because he's very emotionally honest with his audience, and that's very difficult for people to not have any kind of emotional attachment. If you're a fan of Mr. Girl, there's definitely some parasociality that is unavoidable.
Damn, bro.
And I think I
Do you,
think that's why he's talked a lot
Show
about it and tried to mitigate it when he can.
do you think that
No.
do you think that watching sections of his own audience turn against him is a bit telling? Then
And his
Uh,
mods.
and his mods and like the
His
fact that,
mods have
like,
turned against him?
his subreddit's not in a good state. Like because I thought it on my chat. I don't know what other people's looked like. It a lot of people just assume you're running deflection, and I don't know if that's true. I think from this conversation, it sounds like you genuinely believe this about Max. It's just it feels like a lot has come out, and we can kind of point to things and go, well, it looks like he's acting in this way, and you seem to be running an awful lot on faith.
Sure, I think a lot of other people are running a lot on what they already think too. I hear a lot of stuff like, obviously it's because of this. Well, clearly this is happening because he's mad at Destiny with the subreddit thing. And like, I'm over here saying we don't know that. And here's like what the opposite end of this argument looks like, because I do have a lot of trust that he's not doing anything that that I don't think that he wouldn't have done. Like he's still consistent, and people are making the claims that he's acting really inconsistently with himself, and they're saying like, obviously, clearly, this is what's happening, but this is just a narrative they're making because like this is what would be a general assumption if a normal person was doing this. But Mr. Girl doesn't act like most people do. Like if you want to show me like a bunch of videos where he's acting super normal and it's super easy to predict what he's going to do, well, let's talk. But that's not what I see from him almost ever. So like I expect him to act the way he has acted always, and it leads me to believe the way that I believe right now. And a lot of people have changed the way they think about him because of personal interactions with him. That's fine, but I haven't seen anything that makes me think differently. And so yeah, I'm going to extend charity to somebody who has been consistent. I'm going to extend the charity that they are the same person that they've been acting like they are the entire time. And when you come to me and say like, well, I think this is going on, I'm going to engage with you in good faith too. I think every person in here, I've done my very best to engage with honestly and in good faith. And if you think I'm not, you can call me on it, and you can try to pick that apart and like show how I'm not. But that's not what I'm doing. And so like I'm giving just as much charity to everybody here as I would to
I don't
him.
think anybody thinks that you're being bad faith. I
do
honestly
expect me to be good
believe that
faith to him too.
All right, I'm gonna mute you if you don't stop.
I don't really care.
I just
Can
none of us
Oh,
none of us feel that way.
Okay.
I definitely do. This guy's pathetic. He's just literally sitting on
Okay,
stoop.
inside, please.
Drazi, can I earlier I asked and I asked you about I suppose understanding the general Mr. Girl audience, and I explained that sort of I'm trying to understand the arc of the long-term viewer, I suppose.
Sure.
And so maybe this is a bit of a redirection of questioning, but I'm curious, genuinely curious. Can you describe what do you think Max is doing with like his recent actions? So from the point where he started to reach out to people, I think we all understand what the blow up was. We know there was a Reddit ban and there was a conversation that anyway, I think all of that aside, from the point where he got banned and essentially declared war on DGG, or had DGG declare war on him, from that point forward, can you describe what he's done? I suppose
when you say the war,
way that you see it.
Like, when you say like he's declared war or whatever, are you talking about the subreddit thing? I just want to make sure I understand the question.
Sort of from that point, if you just sorry, yeah, and I jumped around a little bit. I suppose what I'm interested in is if you could describe, I suppose, his maybe not his, what you saw of the actions that sort of went from there, how those flowed together. Because, we're asking about things like consistency and asking about things like, what order things happen, and you were talking about his consistency in morals and moral approach.
Okay,
do
so
you
from
see
the
that
subreddit
in the
war
actions
forward?
that he took from that point?
Yeah. Okay.
Just
so
in very brief, because otherwise we'll be here all night.
Yeah, sure. I think that the subreddit war thing, I always took that to be like a silly thing, and until Destiny himself told me that like there was actually people like flipping out in his subreddit, like I didn't think that anybody even would. But the community is pretty wild, so that's that's just
Mhm.
I guess what happened, and I think that was unfortunate. I don't think it was like a super smart thing to say. I think it was just sort of like a thing said in jest. I don't think that it was meant to be like that. And I'm pretty sure that he's said that too. I think we've got clarification on that. That it was just sort of supposed to be like a fun, silly way of saying like I'm really upset about what's happening here. Like hence like the Mimi Twitter
Mhm.
post and stuff, and I like kind of participated in that because like that's the kind of thing I can get behind if it's like silly. And then after that, I think that there were some actual concerns that he had about how that was going, and I think that Destiny has every right to say like, "That's cool. I don't care. I'm going to do it my way. That's fine." I think that they both had what's the word? I think they were both right with how they felt about things. Um, but ultimately, I think that it's fine to let Destiny do whatever he wanted to do. But I think that Mr. Girl basically set a boundary and said, like, if this is how things are, then I just can't be a part of this, which I think is correct. If you feel that way, then you should remove yourself from a situation that you think is wrong. That's what happened. And then he felt really bad about it. Then Shaylin told him that he was being abused by Destiny, and he looked at it after that, and he saw it through that light, and he it's somewhere in this the thing with Anna was going on, and he looked at it, and that's sort of where we're at. He thinks that Destiny was abusive towards him. He thinks that Destiny was abusive towards Anna, and as far as we know, he looked in some other things, and we don't
So-
really know what anything else was found since then. Yeah,
Do you
that's
agree
pretty
that
much
he
my
was?
understanding of that.
Do you agree that he
And
was
your
abused?
view,
Do you agree that he was abused?
I don't know.
Well, based on what
do you
you've
think
seen
he
on the
was
public streams that you've
manipulated
watched,
into thinking that he was
I don't-
abused?
I don't know.
you don't
Okay,
know?
but you've seen
Is that
you've
important
seen a
to know?
fair amount of those public streams. Do you think there's indications of abuse in those public streams or the way that he was treated? Like from your own definition of abuse, like in your opinion.
I think that the things that happen can certainly make somebody feel that way.
Like what?
I just think
Okay.
that the way things happen in the subreddit can make him feel that way. I'm not saying that makes Destiny
not
wrong
the
or
subreddit.
anybody wrong.
Not
Yeah,
the subreddit. I'm talking about like he believes that Destiny abused him. So like what things happen with
yeah, but
Destiny?
I
that
think
he
he
abused?
pins that on Destiny though. He holds Destiny accountable for what Forethought did, and
Do you think
how
that's
like
reasonable?
I don't
Not
think
not
that
only to
anybody's
hold him
feelings are reasonable,
to hold him
unreasonable.
accountable for Forethought being like antagonistic, but further to call it abuse on the level of like
Yeah,
on the
abuse
level of
means
like
something.
yeah.
I think that if you feel like I think that if you feel like you were abused, then like yeah, you can call it that. And I think other people can disagree or whatever, and there can be a conversation to be had about it. But I don't think it's wrong to say like
Yeah.
that's how you feel about it.
To identify
More so,
himself
I
as-
think
as
that it's
a-
wrong to
That's
tell
what
somebody they
abuse-
can't
well,
say that.
Abuse usually means like a form of like in some kind of relationship, continuously subjecting somebody to something that they don't feel they have the power to extract themselves from.
I think of
Max-
abuse as like somebody doing harm to somebody.
Well, then everything
that's
is then like everything under the sun that's harm is abuse. That doesn't make any sense.
Look, I'm
'Cause
not making that claim. I'm
abuse
saying that
implies a cycle, right? That there's something repetitive. If you transgress on somebody, that isn't necessarily abuse. But if you transgress on them multiple times, especially in a way in which they can't avoid it, that would be abuse.
okay, I did say that I don't know if it was abuse or not. I think that Mr. Girl felt like he was, and I think it's okay to say that if you feel that way.
Do-
I don't know if I'm
Well,
do you
comfortable
think that he
hearing
felt-
I
other
think your
people's.
charitability with Max is abusive to us.
Okay, well, I can tell you this, Sonia. I will always be equally charitable to you
I know.
whenever you and I engage, and
I
everybody
think
here. If
this
you ever talk to
toxic
me
charity
outside of
that
this,
you
I will
engage
be
in is
charitable to you as
abusive,
well.
and we might need to go behind your back and speak to all of your friends and former lovers to find out
Yeah.
if you've been this charitable with them
Dude,
before.
Go for it. You're just gonna
Um,
find out what a cool fucking guy I
Can
am.
I just yeah.
I'm
I
just
look
messing
forward
with you,
to it.
by the way.
The question is, I think, so I suppose the scenario that you painted was, hey, he didn't feel like he was abused. Then he went off and he talked to Shaylin, and she's convinced him that he was abused.
She said
I,
it.
I suppose that
and,
has a
he
whole
thought
lot
about
of
it.
parallels with.
Is my understanding of
Okay,
the
so
situation.
she said
I
it.
could be wrong.
He's then reflected on it. So he hasn't been reflective before that point. He's not feeling bad about it. He gets to a point and he's kind of talked into it. That's what it sounds like, or at least
I don't know if he's talked into
massaged
it
in
or if
that
it just
direction. Is that-
or if he felt like she said it and it helped reveal something that he thought was already there, made him look at things in a new light. But I also think that going through something like that is going to make you view things in a different light as well. If somebody reveals a behavior that they've never shown you before, you may go back and look at things that had happened in the past and look at them differently with new information being provided. I think that most people do that when they have an
So he's
unexpected
justifying.
situation come up.
Yeah, so he's sort of justifying this set of actions based on he was in a situation. He was then, they had a conversation afterwards. He then saw it differently. He's then taken some action off the back of that, which people have kind of arced up against.
Yeah, I think he already had information that was known, like about Anna, that it got viewed through this lens, and I think that it changed the way that he thought about these things a little bit more. Although I don't really know where all that happened. It's a little not really sure on the timelines, like because I know like he was like talking to Anna, or like he was like inquiring to Anna prior to that too.
Nobody
Can I
thanked me.
can I ask a question to like
Yeah.
everybody? Somebody in my chat asked me a really
Can
good
I-
question. I wonder if I could just throw that out to you guys. I haven't asked a
Yeah.
whole lot of questions of anybody. Is there anything that
Yep,
Mr.
yeah, yeah.
Girl could reveal that would justify his actions to you guys? If there's anything he come out with that goes like, "Here's this," and then you're like, "Oh fuck, I get it."
You would
Anything at all?
literally have to prove that, like, Destiny had straight up sexually abused people. That's it.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah,
they
it
gotta
would
be
need to
right.
be
And-
like some kind of sexual harassment, some kind of sexual impropriety.
Okay.
I think the Anna thing, him
now-
sexting with Anna,
now I
is like a nothing
suppose-
burger.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. You guys
Can
can
I
you
just
answer? I just
qualify,
gotta
though,
be real
the,
quick. I can hear you.
um,
You won't be able to hear me.
Yeah, yeah.
Go ahead.
Cool. If I can just qualify a little, like he'd have to find something, but the way that he's gone about this, I still wouldn't be justifying those actions. I'd be saying, hey, he's reached an outcome, but he's taken some steps that I probably really disagree with. I think it's reasonable though to say, look, he was emotional, and there's a whole sort of set of things. And I think
Well,
if we
there
look at
needs to
that
be some
sort of
reason he
pattern-
would need to do it secretly, right? Like so, even if he found like a pattern,
Yeah,
like
some-
a pattern like real abuse or something, there needs to be a good reason he was doing this in secret, right, with a bunch of people, and Destiny's like enemies and shit, and not just confronting Steven about it directly.
Yeah. And none of that would justify the abuse. So even if he's actually going about it maliciously and finds something, then that still doesn't, that's not post hoc justification for the fact that somebody was actually abused. You still chase that down, even if you still look at him as, well, maybe this wasn't the best way of going about it.
Honestly,
but I think it's reasonable to sort of say,
like
maybe he made
maybe-
mistakes.
this may be a
I mean-
controversial opinion, but I honestly, before this whole thing even blew up, I was thinking that Max's like loading of emotional baggage onto Steven leading up to this before like right the day before Forethought banned Max from the subreddit. I was watching that stream and Max was on there for a very long time trying to convince Steven that he needed to protect him from his audience. And the way that Max played that out and the way that he talked about it with Steven, I remember thinking at the time while I was watching that man, this feels really emotionally abusive. Did any of you think of that as well?
Yeah, he's basically loading his. I mean, sorry, I said this earlier. He's like loading his emotions onto somebody else and making them responsible for them.
And really
Basically.
pressing it repeatedly
Yeah.
and making it like very important and hinging their friendship on it and everything. Like,
Yeah, I think
because he would say things like, "Look, I'm your friend. I would think you would care about my feelings. You need to kind of take care of my feelings." It just felt abusive, like emotionally abusive.
I think this is part of the problem with Max as well. I probably might have picked up on some things that others haven't, or not seen them in quite the same way. And I'm happy to say, I'm obviously going to have a fucking bias, but the way
Why is
Max loads language, for Koflaxer, God's sakes, Wolfgirl. Right, okay, but the way Max
You're
loads his language with everything, it leans into kind of a really manipulative standard, even if that is something he discovers with Steven. And like, again, I kind of say with Bossett, I don't know if like then it becomes a case where like Max went out and got lucky and found something. And that's not quite the same thing as like great, like we could then know about that thing, like that's always good. But like that doesn't mean his intentions don't look pure, they look manipulative. To like answer the question of is there anything that could come out like that would change my opinions towards Max, I don't know, like if he had a really bad gas leak in his house, maybe, like if there was some like other reason why he'd act in this way. But there has been so much now that it's just
I would feel a lot
it
better.
becomes a little bit
Oh, sorry.
harder to defend.
Yeah, I'd feel a lot better if he just came out and apologized. Said, "Hey, I got this completely wrong. I'm really sorry, and I found something that out of whatever abuse, or not found anything. Turns out it was baseless. Some kind of admission along those lines that was clear and unambiguous. So very different to the types of ways that he's discussed his
Yeah,
past
actually,
in
actually,
the
genuinely,
past.
if he came out and apologized to people, I think that would probably be a pretty good start.
Well, if he doesn't find anything else, that may
Sorry.
very well be a part of the essay that he releases. But I think that him not talking very much about this and waiting until like what he's looking through is over with to release it in the way that he had originally intended to, also makes me feel confident that that was his intent the entire time, to wait until he had everything.
Okay,
Because
but
he could be running interference for himself, and he's not.
Well, I don't know. He's tweeting out things like "I'm not scared of you" and stuff like that. Like that. That's yeah.
Sure.
And his language has always been like pretty combative. Like I feel like
Yeah. And he had and he did a stream right after like Destiny's original stream, like the nuke stream or whatever, and he addressed this on the hotline like on Saturday. Right, so it's not like he's just not defending himself. He is defending
on
himself.
the hotline. He said he's not going to. He doesn't think he should talk about it anymore.
Yeah, but he has been defending himself. Like he defended himself that night, and on the hotline, and on Twitter a bit. Right, like he posted those Anna DMs or whatever. And so to say that he's just like not engaging or like he's holding back until he has like his essay or whatever put together. I mean that's actually not what he's doing. And based on the
I'm talking
other
about
shit
right
that's been,
now. Sorry.
right now, sure.
That's what I
This
was
moment. Okay.
reference to.
But it seems like based on the other shit, like Repsion, who I know strangely enough, I've known him for years. So he put something out on Twitter, like that Max reached out to him for some fucking reason,
Can't
which was like
believe
really
he
fucking
reached out to
weird.
Wow.
Repsion.
Right? So it seems like he,
Check
yeah.
your tweet that.
Wait, hold on, Stardust, you didn't see that?
I didn't see
Can you
that.
repeat that?
No.
Yeah, I'll
Repeat
find the
that.
tweet.
Repeat that
I think I
for
missed what
me.
you said.
Max actually reached out to Repsion, who is like
The
the
hell is
guy that
that?
was at the center of the Onision investigation on like YouTube. Right, he was the one that did a lot of the legwork on that.
Okay.
And
he's also been a YouTuber for a
and-
very long time.
And what's his name? Pharaoh. Reached out to him, the investigative reporter.
Yeah, the journalist. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, Lav has been reaching out to a lot of different people, and that information even made it to Ethan Ralph. I don't know if she reached out to him directly, but even Ethan Ralph has been like
This is so ridiculous.
brought into this. The crazy thing
I don't know
about
who that
this,
is.
so I talked about this a little bit on my stream, and Stardust knows a little bit about this, as does Beckett. But there's like part of what makes this really messy is Lav, right? She makes this really messy. Now, if Lav weren't in the picture, things might be a little bit different. But Lav complicates it a lot because of what she's been doing over the past several months with other people in the background. And like we found out from Stephen went public about this a couple days ago and talked about it on the street, or yesterday I think it was, that Lav had this story about Hassan that she had been sitting on for a while.
I thought we
and
heard about that a while ago.
He knew about it directly from her 3 months ago, roughly.
Okay.
The weird part is that Claw has been going around behind the scenes talking to a whole bunch of different creators about this very thing and giving them the information. And so in that, I've known about for a little over 2 months, as has Stardust, as has Beckett. and a few others as well. I think Dooby knows about this as well. And so there's this obvious tenor that comes from Lav and this behind the scenes, Machiavellian shit that she and Claw have been doing, that many of us have gotten, DMs about and screenshots of and stuff. And that makes this look way more malicious and like there's something else going on. I don't believe that Max was originally involved in that, but now we've heard that apparently Max is working with Claw on drumming up this information on Destiny. So that really colors things in a more malicious light, more Machiavellian light, and that also just really, really complicates things. So that's something that like I've been thinking about talking to Max about it and just being like, just try and get him to open up to me and say, just what the heck is going on here? Are you working with Claw? Do you know what he's been doing behind the scenes? Are you aware of all these things? Like show him the screenshots and stuff. And he's been playing streamers against each other as well. It's another thing that we noticed in the screenshots.
Sure.
So
I think that would be really good and helpful then. Yeah.
Yeah, so that also just makes this whole thing look even worse. So imagine this from Steven's perspective, who's known about this stuff going on for a while. This stuff has landed in his DMs. I forwarded some of the shit to him that when it came to me. And so and then he starts getting information, from his former hookup that Max is asking really, really sensitive questions, and then he realizes he puts it all together, realizes what the heck is going on, and needs to go public about it. Like I would respond in a way like that as well. And now you've got Max doing what he's doing. I don't know. The whole thing looks real bad. It looks like there's something malicious going on.
Yeah, and the silence.
Oh, I'm not going to disagree that any of this looks bad. I've been hearing nothing but people telling me how it looks bad.
So people who care about him need to pin him down and be like, dude, you need to stop.
I have.
It's okay.
ElderDrazi, so in
okay, go ahead.
In the DMs with me, even right. So he mentioned that he was having a lot of trouble getting people to talk to him, right, or getting women to go public, quote unquote. And in DMs with other people that had been leaked, he said the same thing, that they won't talk to him, right? So it seems like.
What do you think the implication is there, though?
The implication that I get from that is that he's really digging with tons of people that he thinks might have issues with Destiny, not getting responses. So he's going to more and more extreme avenues of trying to get something, right? Claw, for example, Repsion, who's I don't know how the fuck he'd even be involved in this. So to go like this far out, to try to find something that he can use to build this abuse narrative or to support this abuse conclusion he's got. It just tells me that he's desperately trying to make this work, and it's just not working.
And it feels like it's all confirmation, but it's like he decided ahead of time that was the outcome, and he's just been trying to find anything that will confirm that.
Also, if we've mentioned those DMs that a few of us have seen flying around, I think what needs to be clear as well, when we're saying that this looks bad, or like it could be linked to things, we're not just saying, oh, it looks like Max might tangentially be doing something, and that's like a little bit concerning. There's been stuff going on, like there's been like rumor milling for a while, but you see evidence of bits of those, and then if Max is involved in that, that's really suspect. And it seems like a lot of that has been, as Zonia said, people being set against each other, and
like
waiting for this thing to blow up. And like Lav tweeted out, "I'm sorry to other people. This didn't go the way they wanted it to," and that seems to be in reference to some other shit, and that's worrying, because that's dragging in not just Steven or other random people. It's dragging in people like Hassan, and then Hassan comes out the other day with fucking leaked DMs from Lav. Because of course he has to, because Lav's accusing him of something pretty serious.
Yeah, I saw that today.
And Philly D covered that today, which now it's blown up to unbelievable proportions.
It's not just a case where Max is now just going, okay, well, I might think these things. This is the sort of thing where I don't know quite how to get across like how bad this looks, because it really does look fucking terrible from the perspective of like what you're meant, what are any of us meant to think? It looks like you're sat here saying, well, I believe Max, I believe he's got integrity and stuff, but to those of us who've seen tangential things, it doesn't look like that for anyone involved in this. Like on the direct front lines of it, it's very hard to give that charity when we've seen it ramp up.
Well, I to be fair, I haven't seen this, and I'm gonna say the thing that people got upset with me for saying earlier, or that you pointed out was like upsetting earlier, is that if I had seen that, then I could let you know how I feel about it. But like I understand the necessity of being vague about this, but I haven't seen it. I don't know what you've seen. I don't know how to process that and weigh it against like how I already feel and like what I know to be true and like my understanding of things. So if somebody wants to show me that, like I wouldn't screen grab. I don't know what like level of like privacy this has or whatever. But if somebody shows me that, I can tell you how I feel about it. But like you're just telling me that you've seen something that's worrying. Sure. I just don't know what that is. A lot of other people are worried. A lot of people are worried about things that I feel like make sense to me too. So I trust you that you are concerned, and be honest, I'm glad that there's people on both sides of this. I wish maybe that there was some more people that understood how I thought without having to have such long conversations about it. But
okay,
do
so
you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, because like everything that gets leaked on that gets leaked from one side at the moment is people will look at and go, well, this doesn't sound as bad as the opposition side is painting it. When those DMs between Anna and Destiny came out, Max came out with a response to try and explain why those DMs were there and like why they read that way. But those DMs are still Anna saying to Destiny, Max scares me. Like Max is applying pressure for me to release information that I don't want released. And then that's dragged in and brought people in. And then if Max is doing that to other people, because the implication is Max is talking to other people, can you see that like Max going to potentially, let's say Max is right, just the hypothetical. I don't right now on the basis of the evidence and believe that. But if Max is going to abuse victims and going, you need to give me the evidence so I can put it out there, at the same time that people like Lav are saying, well, he's like Harvey Weinstein or whatever, which is a pretty serious claim, which Lav then walked back and said, well, I didn't really know anything about Harvey Weinstein. Like if that's coming out, firstly, why would those abuse victims, should they exist, trust Max? And secondly, if he fucks this up, and because we've seen this happen before with multiple things, it was like there's been like a couple of pedogate scandals that people have fucked up, and if Max fucks that up, let's say he's right and does fuck that up, is that the point where you can draw a line and go, well, you fucked not just yourself, but actually people who have suffered? Like I think that's a pretty egregious line if that occurs.
So if there's something actually illegal, then yeah, I would say that's really fucking bad. I think if he finds anything illegal, he should immediately turn it over to the police, and any failure to do so would be terribly negligent on his part, and I'd have a big fucking problem with it. However, if it's something that's just going to be seen as immoral, the police are going to take no action because there's no like legal precedent for this, but it looks really fucking bad and it's abusive by at least his own metric, then I would say that he's not doing anything wrong by reaching out. Like, for instance, I just got something shared to me, and this is him reaching out to somebody. He said, hey, someone suggested that I talk to you about a piece I'm working on regarding emotional abuse in Destiny's community. Any communication between us will be 100% confidential, Max. I think this is a pretty responsible way to approach somebody that somebody suggests that you talk to. So somebody's telling you, hey, I think you should talk to this person. Presumably, it's going to be because they've expressed something like this has happened to them. This seems like a pretty good approach to take. Maybe we can quibble about like how exactly you should word it, but I feel like it's pretty responsible if you believe the things that he says he believes. Do you disagree?
Well, I think well, he says first he's going to remain confidential.
Yeah,
but at the same time,
this was leaked by the person that he sent it to, not him.
Yeah, no, but that's true.
Okay.
But he's saying stuff's going to remain confidential, but ultimately he's going to come out with these claims, right? And so even if it's going to remain confidential, he's going to use that as evidence, right?
I believe that he has stated that he wants to talk to people if they just want to give him background information that they don't want to be shared. If they want it to be public, he can make it public. Everything that I have seen about this, he has put it into their hands when they give him information, how they want it to be done. And when it came to Anna, it seemed like when she gave it to him, and we can talk about how we feel about like what's said after the fact, or like how he went about getting it. I understand there's some issues with that people have. That when he got the screenshot that did get presented, he got it with the understanding that it was going to be public. Now I understand people don't like how it was got, or how it was received, how he received it, or whatever. And maybe I do, or maybe I don't have any issues with that. I don't really know.
Wait,
This
can
has all
you-
been going. This
you
has been
just, like,
running pretty
can you-
hardcore since this.
Why
started
can't you
to
have an
me.
opinion on that? So if
I just
you
need
have
time to think
somebody-
about it.
Well, think about it
I
now.
have-
So somebody is somebody's a potential abuse victim
Yeah.
is expressing to you that she's not comfortable sharing these screenshots or whatever. Do you think it's okay to pressure her for 3 hours with your like fiance or girlfriend or wife or whatever the fuck Shailen is to leak those DMs to you?
Hey, quick shout out to Ghost Politics in the YouTube chat. I just want to say I really appreciated the sweat into the oldies dance routine suggestion you made. I would totally do that without being threatened, honestly. I think we should all do a sweat into the oldies dance routine together. Sorry.
You'd have to threaten me to get me to do that, actually.
I might threaten you if you ask me to do that.
I'm quite worried about what I'm going to get roped into.
I would love to do that regardless of threat.
I
Like,
actually used to
ElderDrazi.
do those as a kid, so
I'm
Yeah.
really worried.
I'm
Anyway,
really interested in.
I'm actually
I'm
going to
really
leave
interested
them
in
up
what
and
Star
see if
reckons
I
an
don't get to do
oldies.
that.
so okay, fuck, Dooby, please.
Yeah,
Come
so
on,
Drazi,
Goose,
so
dance with
again,
me.
understanding that Max knows that Anna is very mentally and emotionally unstable. She's known this for a
He
very
has
long time.
contested this publicly. He's contested the fact that she is, though.
Really?
Yes,
Like,
he has. This has
hold on.
happened.
Hold on. You're telling me that he's contested the fact that she's like mentally unstable or emotionally unstable, like publicly?
Yes, he said publicly
If
to
he-
Destiny.
if-
The only reason anybody thinks
And
that
here's
is
the thing.
because you said that to Destiny. So look,
I suggest we back
Then he's-
off of. Well,
I
suggest we
Hold
back
on,
off
hold
of
on.
talking
Then if he
about
thinks
that part
that, if he thinks that, then
specifically.
he's fucking stupid. It's
okay.
clear that she's mentally and emotionally unstable. If he doesn't agree, then he just shouldn't be talking to people
Okay.
at all because he just doesn't understand human beings. But putting that aside. So
I
this is a
refuse to
potential-
comment on Anna's mental
God.
state, and I
Who
have
cares?
this
Okay.
entire time.
So
I'm
this
just
is
saying
a
I'm
potential.
not going
This is
to
a potential
that.
abuse victim, right? A potential
Uh-huh.
abuse victim is telling
Sure.
you straight up, "I don't want to share this with you. I'm not comfortable." And
Yeah.
rather than accept this answer, he pressures her for 3 hours in a voice call with his girlfriend.
And-
Is that a reasonable thing to do? Is that an okay
Not-
thing to do?
and I would say, like, the way that Anna described it to me on stream, it really sounded like an interrogation.
I didn't get to see all that. That's like on my list of things to watch. I had to spend time with my wife and girlfriend when that was happening. So it's on my list of things to go over. I just
Your
didn't
wife
have time
and
yet.
girlfriend? You have a wife and a girlfriend?
Yeah, they're sleeping
Yeah.
right now.
No wonder you're so fucked
Ollie.
up.
What
That's
the fuck?
polyamorous.
You are such a fucking player. Okay,
They're a player.
well,
They're dating each other too. Like if anything, they are. If I am, then they are just as much, and like we're even.
okay.
Hmm.
I just want to say, Ghost Politics said, I'm a big fan of you, Stardust. I want to leave my fat, ugly pig wife for you. I would highly not recommend that, Ghost Politics. You would just be leaving your pig wife for like literally Danny DeVito lookalike. You and Pippa
I don't
Pipkin
know how
can
to feel about that fucking response.
wait a
On
minute.
so many levels. What the fuck
Wait a
am I
minute.
supposed to do with that response?
Ghost Politics says you and Pippa can join my harem of waifus to fulfill my hentai fantasies. You want Danny DeVito in your hentai
Christ.
fantasy? Good
Well,
God,
what's
my
wrong with
dude.
that?
Tix, I'm gonna warn you right now. All right, she might stand for that. I don't. So now that I know what's going on, knock it off.
Damn.
I'm more concerned that you're getting thrown in with Pepper.
What's
For
wrong
fuck's
with
sake.
Pippa?
Nothing's wrong with Pepper. It's just that's a very weird hurrah. Like hurrah.
I don't
That's a
know.
very weird grouping.
Sounds
That's
like
a
somebody
very
has
weird
a problem with Pippa.
I like Pepper. I find her content amusing. Okay,
Sure.
you happy now? You good?
Sounds like you do. It sounds like you do. Who am I to say?
So Elder, now that you've had a few minutes to
Certainly.
think about it, can you just tell us what you think about him doing that?
So if his concern is what he said it was, and I don't know if everybody is aware what his concern that he expressed to Anna was, is that that when Mr. Girl was looking into these things, that Anna was going to get dogpiled by his community, which is something that has been expressed. She's expressed a lot that she really doesn't like, and that it's very difficult for her. And I'll even say too, like, I like Anna. I've watched some of her streams. I've had some back and forth with her. I'm cool with her. I'm not going to comment on her mental state at all. But if he's concerned for her and he wants to take the blow over her, I do understand why you might persuade somebody to do something that you think is in their best interest to try and protect them.
Wait,
Especially if you think that they're a victim.
how does getting her to leak her private DMs with Destiny, sexting DMs is what she said he was asking for. How does that take any pressure off of her?
Well, I can tell you right now, we're talking about how Mr. Girl. You're telling me how Mr. Girl fucked up and not how Anna fucked up. So
Hold
I
on,
mean,
this is because
that's how.
Anna has said that Anna has rescinded her support for his campaign,
Okay.
right? So, but if she was still on his side, like he expected her to be when he
I
did
don't
all
know if he
this,
expected her to be.
don't be silly. Of course he did. Right? Of course he expected her to be on his side, given that she's a victim that he's championing, right? So if she was
No.
still on his, if she was still on
Wait,
his
I can
side,
explain that.
like he expected her to be when he was asking her for the DMs, when he got the store of abuse from her, did he really expect that her leaking those DMs, sexing DMs, would take any pressure off of her?
Okay, you're asking me to answer a hypothetical that I told you I disagreed
I'm
with the
asking
premise
you,
on?
what a reasonable person, what do you think would happen if Anna came out on Mr. Gross' side, said, "Hey, here's my sexing DMs with Destiny. Destiny's been keeping me as a sex slave." Would she be attacked?
Yeah, probably.
Okay,
People would
so
say
how does this
Anna's
take any pressure off of her?
okay. What happened is that Mr. Girl released what he released in response to Destiny going nuclear on him or whatever, and we can see the result of that is that Anna isn't getting the shit. And also, I reject the premise that you laid out. So, if the narrative is that Anna is threatened by Destiny and or feels threatened by Destiny in any way, which if I don't know. I don't find this to be an impossible scenario by any stretch. That after something was said to Mr. Girl, and then Destiny talked to her at all, I would absolutely expect her story to change and not blame her one bit. If she feels any kind of pressure from him, which all this shit's been going on for a really long time, and she's scared or she's worried and all that, yes, I would expect her to do exactly what we have seen. And I'm not saying that is what happened. I don't know, but this is what I would expect to
Okay,
see.
so again, how does her leaking her private sexing DMs take any pressure off her?
I can't speak to something that didn't happen. I can speak to what did happen.
You, okay, but you're not making sense. So you're saying that, hey, he wanted the DMs to take pressure off of her, to take attention off her onto himself. But given that these are her DMs with Destiny, these private DMs that she'd be leaking, it seems like a reasonable person would think that she'd be getting some pushback for leaking these private DMs.
Other hand.
Unless everything happened the way that they did.
Hey,
So it seems like he got this screenshot and then stopped, and this is the screenshot that he had. It wasn't sexting DMs, but it showed what was going on. And then Anna, I assume, had talked to Destiny. It seems like she talked to Destiny after this was after Mr. Girl had received this, and after that, she would have behaved the way I would expect anybody who had been abused in this situation would have. Now, I'm not saying she was. I don't really feel very comfortable putting Anna into this in this way
So
and
how do you
speculating on
think?
her feelings. But
So
in this hypothetical, this does line up for me.
well,
Quick
I think it's
interjection.
Can you at least
ridiculous,
agree?
Chris.
A quick interjection since we have a celebrity in the YouTube chat. Ghost Politics said, I fucked pigs before, so fucking a Danny DeVito lookalike isn't that far of a step down. I appreciate that,
Christ.
Ghost Politics. Ghost politics, I will do a sweating to the oldies routine with you any day, okay? We'll all get together and we'll all do it on camera together, okay? Any day, sweating to the oldies dance routine. Sorry.
Okay.
So if you
I'm sick that
if you
day.
if you look at it through the way that I'm trying to explain that I think of it, does it not make sense then?
No, I don't
If
think the
not,
way
can
that
you explain
you're
it to
thinking
me?
about it makes sense at all.
Oh, I said if you think about it the way that I'm telling you that
If I think about it
does this
irrationally,
logically
like a
fall?
human
Okay,
being wouldn't think about it, yeah, it makes sense.
okay. Well,
I
I
don't.
understand that we
I have
disagree
trouble. I know
with
that you're a
something.
reasonable person. I have trouble believing that you believe this, right? Because I know that you're a reasonable person.
Oh,
And so I'm wondering, like, so further,
then
right?
what
So
could I do to
setting that
convince you
aside,
that I'm being
so
honest?
setting that aside, if the goal here was to protect Anna in some way, what is jumping onto Destiny's stream in the middle of the fucking nuke and blurting out that he's been sexing with Anna for the last year? How does that do anything to protect Anna?
Well, I think that what immediately followed, where he went on his stream and then showed what he did actually protect Anna. I think that he did have the right methods in mind to do so, and they did. It worked. Like, I
No,
don't
it didn't
understand why
work.
we don't
Hold
need a
on,
hypothetical because we have what
don't
happened.
pretend that Anna undermining his whole scheme was part of his plan. That wasn't part of his plan.
You know
Anna
this?
Anna pulling support massively undermined his plan, obviously.
Yeah, that's why we're fairly certain that Anna was, quote, the first one that went to him, which we know now was brought on by Lav. She's the one who initiated the conversation.
Okay.
And she's the one who got Anna to go to Max.
Do you think if during this conversation she said that she's intimidated by Destiny and she's scared of his community, that Destiny would reach out to her and that she may not stay on his side through this? Do you think that's what any reasonable person would think?
Yeah.
And that
You're talking about two people that are admitting to sexting each other. Yeah, I think they know each other pretty well to have those
No.
sorts of conversations.
No, I'm saying that God, I'm really sorry if I'm overstepping and saying anything about Anna that I don't. Everything I'm
Fuck
saying is
that bitch.
hypothetical here. Yeah, well, I don't feel like that. Okay, I don't feel comfortable saying stuff like that.
Yeah, shame on you,
Ouch.
Dooby.
Don't
So
fuck
all
that
I'm
bitch.
saying
She's
is that
crazy.
if Anna talked to him through this 3-hour conversation, if it came up that she is intimidated by him or scared of him and his community, do you not think that it might be reasonable to assume that after this stuff comes out, that that Destiny will reach out to her, talk to her, and that her tune will change in response to the intimidation, and that Mr. Grill will take all the flack as per what exactly happened? Is that a crazy thing to think?
Yes.
Why?
Because you're sort of saying, well,
You're using my reasoning and
if-
saying it's crazy. So please use my
Well-
reasoning to show why it isn't. Like the hypothetical I just laid out, can you show me why
Yeah.
within that?
so
Okay.
so there's
I'm all
too many assumptions, too many things that have to go right for that to happen, right? So we've talked earlier about the fact that DGG can be a bit unhinged. We talked a little bit about the fact that it heaps hate on people. I think the example was Anna earlier on. That
This is hypothetical?
I'm just
I'm
let
just
me
trying to
paint a
understand.
picture.
I'm trying to follow.
So these things, so there's this impression, right, that GG is a scary community, right? Can we agree that exists within this hypothetical?
Can we agree that DGG has been scary for Anna in the past?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
So,
So this is not
so-
hypothetical part.
So what you're saying is that by her leaking to Mr. Girl and having him then leak, that's not going to blow back on her. That people aren't going to go, right, well, we know who's been talking to who, and go after her as this, I suppose, complicit agent who then, because she's not demonstrating agency in that scenario, they're going to go even harder because he's going to have nothing. He's going to have a bunch of things which are I'm just going to put these up. People already have pretty low trust in the guy. So it's just going to look like him dragging her through the mud and weaponizing her against DGG, which is kind of the way it's played out anyway. So I don't see how you end up with a different scenario in your hypothetical where everything
scenario I
kind
laid
of
out
goes right.
matches
You end up with the
reality.
same sort of.
Well, the conclusion of my scenario lines up with what actually happened.
Well, except with the addition that now people are pretty hard against Mr. Girl in this.
They are.
And
Are you kidding me?
well, no,
Why
I'm
you're
saying they
talking to me.
are. And So maybe I'm not explaining this quite right. Where I'm going
Sorry,
with this
I'm
sort of
trying.
arc is that you know, people have come out pretty hard against him, and
Yep.
you're painting a picture that says, "Hold on, this is part of the master plan." Kind of, right?
Master plan. This just seems like abundantly obvious to me that Destiny would reach out after this was leaked,
Yeah.
and that she would say whatever she had to not have to get attacked by DGG. Mr. Girl would look like the
Yeah.
bad guy, become
So
the bad guy, and that's what happened. That seems like the obvious thing that
yeah.
would
So
happen
you're
if she's intimidated by Destiny's
yeah.
community.
So you're saying the coercion came after? Is that ultimately where we were landing?
That what came
that
after?
coercion that Destiny has gone out and coerced Anna into reversing.
I don't think
her
he
story.
I don't think in this scenario he has to like be coercive. I think that if she's intimidated by him and he simply reaches out and go, "Hey, what the fuck?" That it may very well be the case that she's just going to say whatever is going to be the most appeasing thing. Like I would expect anybody who felt like that in that scenario to do exactly that,
Okay,
and I wouldn't blame them.
But what this feels like, and the reason it's like again you're getting pushback from it, is because it
Yeah.
kind of feels like when like people in like, there's a thing in the Abrahamic faiths where whatever happens, whatever the outcome of a battle or conflict, it's God's will. So you can then go, oh well, we lost that battle for like these reasons. Like King David in the Bible fell for these reasons, and it kind of feels
Yeah.
like Mr. Girl came out with a tweet and said, well, I wanted to take those messages because I said to Anna, like, when this comes out, DGD is going to go really hard to us, so give me the DMs and DGD can come after me. I can deal with it.
Yep.
And that feels like the argument. But then, whatever the outcome, Mr. Girl still spins it as part of this. Like, oh yeah, no, this is exactly what I meant. But if it had come out and gone, well, it hadn't gone that way. Mr. Girl, and Mr. Girl was still on good terms, and DGG had come out against Anna. Mr. Girl could have equally gone, oh well, it's really wrong that DGG has come out in this way. I understand why, but like you can ease off Anna. He wouldn't necessarily have had to whatever the scenario is. He wins.
If Anna ended up being the one getting attacked, I would have been really upset with Mr. Girl for setting her up to be attacked that way. If he wasn't the one getting the brunt force of this and it was her instead,
So
I'd
if
be really pissed.
if Anna hadn't betrayed him, you would have been upset with him.
If she ended up getting the brunt force of DGG, if she ended up getting the hate that's directed at Mr. Girl right now, yeah, I'd be pissed.
Okay, but the way that doesn't happen is the way that happens is she doesn't betray him, right? So if she hadn't betrayed him,
I don't think
you
of
would
this
have
as
been
a
upset with him.
betrayal. I don't like the framing here.
Okay, well, if she hadn't changed her story, if she hadn't undermined his narrative and changed her story, then you would have been upset with him. Because that would have led to her being attacked.
I can speak to the end result. If DGG was attacking Anna, if things didn't happen in a way that protected Anna, yeah, I would have been really fucking pissed.
So for you to be
Because that's
okay
what
with
he said.
this, she basically had to betray him. I know you don't want to think about it as a betrayal, but she basically had to change her
The action
story.
she took.
Okay. Actually, let me ask you this then. If
Things
that's
would
the
have needed to
case-
happen to
if
protect
that's the
Anna like she
case-
was told.
If that's the case,
Yeah.
do you think because Lav's been involved in all of this and
Sure.
but Lav had multiple conversations with Mr. Girl. Like it's
Mhm.
clear that they've talked to each other, and it's led to a lot of hatred
is clear.
towards Lav. So is Mr. Girl in the wrong for not taking that on himself while also involving Lav in this in a way that he didn't necessarily have to? Because your standard then is like you're pissed off. You'd be pissed off if Anna had got the hate, but Lav's getting the hate, and part of that is Mr. Girl's fault because of the way he's gone about those conversations. So is he not like?
I don't
'Cause
know
again,
if
this
Lav
is
inserted herself or not. I don't know. There's a lot of information about Lav's involvement that I don't know how it happened. And I've also reached out to Lav too and told her the same thing that I told Stardust when the allegations were made against Mr. Girl. I said, if you want to talk about what's going on from your side without anybody pressing you, and you just want to get your side out, I'm more than happy to be that person. I won't put a gun to your head. You can just say like what you think happened. I don't know. I don't have that information, but I'm trying to get that information.
But you're making a prescriptive statement about how you feel like what would change, and it's the outcome we're not in. So I'm giving you another similar outcome, and then you're going, well, I don't know. And it's
Yeah,
like,
because Lav may have inserted herself, knowing that this would have happened, and been totally okay
Yeah.
with any of this hate that happened too. I haven't seen anything from
well,
Lav.
I don't
Lav is just a
think it's,
part of this, and I
but
can't see anything happen. Like I don't know
Can
like any of the mechanics behind
so
that at all.
so I'll give you a little bit of a, I suppose, just taking this from a little bit more of a high-minded sort of view, because we can sort of argue that hypothetical both ways, and absolutely, it sounds like there's you're going to be able to retreat to the I don't know. So I don't think there's any sort of see what I'm saying. There's no point really drilling into that hypothetical too much.
Sure,
But if
both
we
sides
take
of
it up
this
a notch,
hypothetical, people are making an
yeah.
assumption about something and sticking to that, and I think that
So
that's fine for you guys to do. But like,
yeah,
I don't see why it's
but
wrong
if
for
we
me to think what I think too.
if we take it up a level, should this be the standard for how these sort of things are handled? If you have a person, gift them with all the qualities that you think Max has, should this be the standard for how these things get outed, or how we approach these sorts of potential allegations and things like that? Even imagining he's playing 4 or 5D chess or whatever,
Uh,
is this the correct way to go about it?
So like I said before, I think that the steps are okay. I think that it's a pretty good idea to
Yeah,
not bring it up to somebody who can try to run
yeah.
interference and
So
stop you from finding things out. But at the same time, too, if something similar happens, depending on particular circumstances surrounding it, like there may be
yeah,
a better choice for certain
so
paths to be taken in these things.
yeah.
This is
So this is
complicated. This is
how
nuanced. I can't say like
yeah, cool.
this is exactly what anybody should do in a similar situation. I would
Yeah.
need to see the details of that. But like, I don't think that
So
Mr. Girl was wrong with how he
so
approached this
just say
situation.
you and I were DMing back and forth, and I leaked those DMs in your best interests to somebody that was against your wishes. I put that out as the I'm here protecting Drazi, right? Come for
Yeah,
me. Here's the
you told me to give you
DMs
the
of him
DMs so
doing
that you could protect me.
of him doing cringe shit in the background. Are you going to look at that and say, yeah, I want to be protected that way? I want this stuff to be pushed out there. Is that the standard that you wish was used to, say, protect you against these kinds of allegations?
So let me make sure that I'm understanding what you're saying. So you're saying that you offered to protect me. You say, hey, you
Hmm.
give me this information, and it's all going to come back on me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I'm not so
Well,
sure
I
that's going to happen
say,
that way. And you
I,
convince me over the course of 3
yeah,
hours. You bring your fiance into the call, and I get
yep,
convinced that this is going to protect me. Um,
yep,
I would say that you have a duty to make sure that I'm not the one that's going to take the heat.
yep.
And
But then,
I may also
I,
act in my
yeah.
own self-interest and do a little bit of insurance on my own as well, depending on how scared
So
I
if I
am.
go out, if I go out with that material,
Mhm.
I go public. I throw that in the middle of a call in a different context. I put that out there, same way this sort of happened. You then immediately go to stream and say, hold on, this wasn't quite what was agreed.
Uh-huh.
Why would you do that?
Uh,
What would be your motivation in this hypothetical? You can invent whatever you want.
like maybe I'm really scared and I am just going to. Maybe I'm scared
Scared
enough
of
to where
what?
I'm going. The other person in the DMs that
So
you're
I'm
trying to
so
protect
scared
me
of the other
from.
person in the DMs that
Yeah,
I out myself as having confessed these to a third party that hates
yeah. I
that
want to do
person.
the right thing, but then I'm also super scared after I did it. Like, oh God, what if they can't protect me? What if I
They
what
can't
I
actually.
don't
By the
want.
way, that's one of the things I was going to
Sure.
suggest. If Anna had handed those
Yeah.
over and Max went public with them, no, nobody. Max would not be able to protect Anna from the backlash from that. That was something I've wanted to say, but I didn't want to interrupt you guys.
Mm.
But you gave me a perfect opportunity
Well,
there to reply.
yeah, I agree with you.
I'm really glad that Anna is not getting the blowback, and that it is unfortunately, if anybody has to get it, I'm glad that it's Mr. Girl, because it's he volunteered it. But I
Okay,
wish
so
that
I've
he
got- I've
wasn't
got- I've got a
only
He's the only
comment
one getting the blowback because she realized that the situation was fucked up and came clean about it, and I think people are recognizing that, especially after my stream with her on it, that Max put a rather severe amount of pressure on her to get her to release those logs, and Lav seemed to be the one who initiated that particular conversation and the one who directed her to Mr. Girl. So things could be vastly different for Anna if that information had not come out, right? So it's a good thing that we have that other additional context, and I think that's done a lot to help keep her from getting dogpiled. But if that hadn't happened, this could have been very harmful for her.
Yeah, I think somebody in my chat said like one of the core parts is like Max can say what he wants, but like a lot of people, whatever side they're on, this looks irresponsible.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, again, we're coming back to this thing where like you're implying good intentions, but there are so many elements of this where people are looking at it and going, well, the way he's gone about it seems wrong. The pressure applied seems wrong. The argument that I can defend you seems manipulative as a way to like, because again, you can read that as, don't worry, you can trust me because I'm the one who will take the heat. But like, he's got no guarantees of that. That's quite a bold claim that, you know, I can push back and everything else. Whereas, you know, just on the basis of what's happened recently, I don't know why Max would make that claim on the back of the fact that he's had multiple streams where he's been complaining to Destiny about his status on the subreddit. Max can't even defend himself properly when it comes to things like the subreddit. Like, what makes him think that he can defend Anna? And also,
I don't know.
you know, but that's the point.
Yeah, the whole thing is because he was overwhelmed by the backlash that he was getting. That's how the whole thing started.
Look, there are things that happened in that conversation that I don't know about, and as far as I know, that nobody knows about. We're working with information that we have, and we're taking our best guesses, and we're working with hypotheticals. Like I said, if Anna was getting harassed right now instead of Mr. Girl, I would feel very differently about it. With the information that I have right now, and I still, Zonia, I didn't watch your stream all the way through. I want to see what Anna has to say.
I made a highlight of it, so you don't
on
have to
my
watch the whole
list.
thing.
It's look, I have my home life is super weird right now. I have I'm recovering from surgery, and there's a lot.
And
that
you
goes
have a
into that.
wife and a girlfriend.
No, you're recovering from self-harm.
Get out of here.
It's a lot of names to remember.
Right, sitting through this whole conversation with a whole bunch of people peppering you with questions, that's pretty close to self-harm.
Yeah, no, I mean, I do have to give ElderDrazi credit because, like, you know, nobody, you know, not a lot of people will come and take a grilling, so I do have to give you credit on that. So, yeah,
true.
I think that I feel like I have to because I think it's the right thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, this is why I wanted to talk to you because you seem like a nice enough guy, and it's I feel like I feel like if this goes sour for Max, and I think it is heading that way, like just in my personal opinion, I think a lot of people who are going to be attached to that are going to actually suffer a lot of backlash. Like that's sort of the people will have to do a mea culpas of I'm sorry I was wrong about this, and I suppose part of this is like, at least you should consider that. And
for sure, yeah, 100%. I understand that how this all ends is going to paint how people think of me, and I've certainly thought about the fact that maybe me being on this side of the argument prevents me from having the kinds of conversations that I hope to through streaming. And I very, very much all the time have different kinds of conflicts, but at the end of the about a lot of things that I think and say and do. But I think that I have to, in order to like care about myself and love myself, I have to do what I think is right. So even if it ends up having a negative result for me, I think that I have to say what I think is correct and stand up for what I think is right. But part of that too is listening to what people have to say charitably, and also not lie to you and just make you think that I'm agreeing with you either if I don't.
Yeah,
so
no,
like
sure.
I
Like, I don't think anyone's
and
look. No one here. I
and
doubt anyone here was expecting you to come in and be like, "Yeah, no, you're right. Max is a piece of shit. We're going to throw him under the bus." Like, nobody's expecting that. I suppose it's just, you know, it's an opportunity to see
That
what you think.
that'd be
and
nice.
You know,
We've got to
everybody
convince
in
them with facts and logic.
everybody who's been in
facts
this
and logic.
I don't know if we want to call this a panel, kind of like a panel. Everybody who's been involved tonight, except for the guy who had really bad and tired jokes, I think that you're all doing the right thing. I think that you actually believe what you're saying, and that you should try to convince me, because I'm the loudest person who believes differently than you. I don't hold it against anybody here either. I think you're doing the same thing that I'm doing. So I don't have any like ill will towards anybody who pushes back against me.
Can
I
I
think
can
only
I can
one
I ask
person
one?
who attacked one of my friends IRL on Twitter, I had to block them.
Can I ask one other thing as well? Because I suppose this is another part of this. Like, I know you're saying you're trying to be balanced and things, and you'll take that evidence. So, like, I'll obviously hold my hands up and say there are pretty obvious reasons why I'd have a bias after everything that's happened
Sure.
against Max. I didn't like him beforehand, to be honest with you. So, again, I haven't flipped or anything. That's been pretty consistent. I know that's been the case for a lot of people. Are you happy to admit that there's like a pretty strong bias there for you? So it's going to take more as well, like, because it feels like this isn't
Yeah,
just like
I've never,
a
I've never,
thing.
yeah, I've never tried to present myself as somebody who isn't probably going to see things in a positive light through Mr. Grill, because I've thought of a lot of things that people were really mad at him about positively as well. I fully understand that it could be that I could be wrong about everything, and that the way that I have viewed Mr. Grill is going to inform my decision about everything involving him. But I also think that there's a lot of people on the opposite side too who have seen a lot of things that they don't like, and they're going to have a uh, similarly opposite bias, maybe not proportional. Maybe people don't hate Mr. Girl as much as I like Mr. Girl, but I think that we're all working within our biases, and I'm trying to. That's why I think it's really important to hear everybody out. That's why, but that's also why when somebody tells me something, like, just show me. Let me see what you're working with here.
Wait, so if it turns out at the end of whenever he releases this manifest or essay or whatever the
Yeah.
fuck it is, that what this amounts to is that there isn't like a long chain of abuse. So what this actually is just Lav and Max felt put out by Destiny's treatment of them in some way. Right, whether that's not defending them on the Reddit, allowing the audience to shit on them, not taking responsibility for their emotions the way that they wanted, whatever it is, right? If it turns out that that's what it is at the end of the day, then it's not like a pattern of disturbing sexual abuse or abuse toward like a news streamer woman or whatever. Like, would that be like enough for you to say, "Hey, Max, this was a bad idea. You shouldn't have done this. It's the wrong way to go about it, etc."
I don't think so. I think that if he thought that there was something wrong, he should have done what he did. I don't think that like whether or not there was anything at the end of the day is going to decide
Would
whether or not he
you
should have looked
would you
into
want
it.
him to include like some kind of like statement and say, "Hey, actually, there wasn't a disturbing pattern of abuse with female streamers.
Oh yeah,
Oh.
absolutely. Yeah. I think that's the only responsible thing to
He's
do.
not the Weinstein of Twitch or whatever."
B Birdie
Actually,
wants me to
I wanna-
ask a question. Ask Elder if Jimmy agrees with Max.
I'm
J-
sorry, I don't know if that was just my end, but you were breaking up a lot.
Yeah, breaking up a
Oh.
lot.
Oh,
Anna.
sorry. So B Birdie asks ask Elder if Jimmy agrees with Max.
I haven't talked to Jimmy in a little bit. Probably gonna grind some Mortal Kombat with him because I gotta beat Max in Mortal Kombat in 2 weeks. But I'll talk to him about it then probably.
Okay.
But whether or not Jimmy says, it would be up to Jimmy if I can share what he thinks or feels about it. Just like anybody who's talked to me about this, if they ask me to keep things between us, I will always honor that. But also know if you say something to me and you don't ask me to, like, this is probably pretty important when everybody's like grilling me with a bunch of shit. So just keep in mind, if you want something to be private, just let me know and I will 100% keep it private.
Okay.
But Jimmy doesn't really seem like the kind of guy that would share a view with me if he didn't want it. But if that's like if it happens and he wants me, if he says it's okay if you say that I I told you how I feel, but I don't want you to keep private. I'll share whatever I can. Let me put it that way. Sorry, I got a little wordy with that. I just want to make sure that I'm not. I just want to make sure that I'm being honest with how I answer that because I think it's important.
Okay. So to be super clear, if all this is they feel abused because he wasn't like kind enough to them, you'd want him to include a statement retracting what he was telling me and others about this pattern of abuse with like where he'd fuck. I think he said the pattern was he'd fuck some new streamer girl, bring her on, have his audience abuse him, and push him out of the community, and because he got off on like hurting women or whatever the fuck, or psychologically abusing women. You don't want him to retract that statement that he was putting out to people.
Did he say that he was looking into it, or that was happening?
He said it was happening. He said this was a thing that is happening, and he's looking into it.
If he said that that's happening, then I would 100% expect him to say that it's not happening if he finds that it's not happening.
Well, I'll read the pattern. So what he told me is there's a general pattern of bring on a female orbiter, fuck
Can you
her.
read what comes right before that?
Yeah. This was. Wait.
I'm not trying to be like shitty or
Okay,
Dewey,
so
I'm just trying to make sure I
this
understand
is
what
a
I'm
little
reading.
bit after. This is a little bit after he told me that Anna and Destiny were sexting. And I said he said they've been sexting that the entire time. He said he's deleting those messages. He says, not that I don't trust you, I just can't say it in public yet. I said, that's nuts. I can't imagine how that even works with the public blow-ups unless she's got a humiliation fetish. He says, no, she just doesn't want him to stop talking to her. And I said, oh, don't worry about it. I get it. I've had to deal with sensitive stuff like this before. Delete whatever you gotta. And he says, okay, thank you. Then he says, she knows if she goes public, he'll cut her off. In a weird way, she's blackmailing him for more sex. I said, that's fucked. I feel bad for her. Sounds like an extremely abusive dynamic. He says, yes, there's a general pattern of bring on a female orbiter, fuck her, trash her with the community, discard her. I would like to stop this from happening, but I can't really if she doesn't want to come forward.
Okay. So because that was revealed to the public, I would say that yeah, he has a responsibility to make sure that that is clarified, that that's not something that was going on if he finds that that's not what was going on. However, somebody else brought this up to me about the messages that you leaked. I did say something that there's something to how you talk to your friends about something versus how you're going to speak about it publicly. So I don't know if he was trying to get you to understand that that's the kind of thing that he's come to understand or not, because he views you as a friend, and that's he was just speaking pretty fast and loose with his words. And there could have been like a more nuanced conversation to be had between the two of you guys. But since that was public, for whatever way that it became public, and he does not find any evidence of that, yeah, I would expect that to be included. That he did not find any evidence of that.
Can I just ask a timeline question, just really quickly, because it kind of matters? When those messages were going on, when Max came to you and said, like, oh yeah, Destiny's sexting Anna, was that before or after it became public knowledge?
I'm sorry, repeat that one more time. Before or after what became public knowledge?
The fact that they were sexting.
That was before.
Okay, so just as another thing for responsibility, like Max is saying that I'll take the heat for this, Is it also not irresponsible to go to someone like Dooby who's not involved, has no knowledge of it, and runs the risk of outing that's what's happening with Anna and Destiny? That, like, because Dooby could have taken that information straight to Twitter and just been like, hey, Anna's still sexting Destiny, has been for ages, while also all the other stuff's been going on and lying. And like Max could have completely lost control of that situation. Is that not is that not irresponsible?
I would say it was obviously in hindsight irresponsible, but I think that it falls more on the lines of him being naive and thinking that I don't know, this is kind of weird to say because you're sitting right fucking here, but I just think that he was like reaching out to his friend who he didn't think was going to do that. He had a reason to think that that wasn't going to happen. He felt like he trusted Dooby enough that that wasn't going to happen, and I do think that it was wrong to do that because obviously this can happen, but he did at least take the extra step to delete it. Obviously he trusted Dooby, but obviously he understood that there was a chance of that happening. and saying that he was going to delete it. But yeah, I think that he took a risk that maybe
Okay,
he
so
shouldn't have taken.
if I were to buy, right, that Max, whose entire brand is like his emotional intelligence, apparently.
Yep.
So if I were to buy that he genuinely believed that he and I had like some kind of like close friendship that would make it safe for him to tell me such sensitive information.
Yep.
If I were to believe that, right? So if he puts out the statement later and he says, "Hey,
Well, you did believe that.
wait, I did
You,
believe what?"
you did believe that he trusted you. That's how come you were able to like bait him for more information before you leaked it. You
No,
knew that he thought
no, hold
that.
on. So I think he's being extremely irresponsible with the information. He didn't just go to me; he went to lots of other people who also went to Destiny.
Okay, I just wanted to be
Because
clear
he was
because you were
being
using you in these
irresponsible.
hypothetical.
So yeah. So what I think is that he was being irresponsible. He didn't go to me just because I was like a close friend, right? That isn't true. That we weren't close friends. He went to lots of people that he wasn't friends with, and he told them the same shit. So,
I haven't seen that.
okay. So leaving aside that, right? If I were to accept this, so if he put out a public statement later after not finding this pattern of abuse that he was looking for with women, right? Why wouldn't it be reasonable for him to still include that? Hey, I've said this in DMs privately to people. It's not true. Right? It's not true that there's this bringing females, this pattern of bringing female streamers on, fucking them and abusing them in the community. Even if I didn't leak it, I think it would still be reasonable to require that he includes that in the message he puts out, because again, like I said earlier, this shit spreads around in the background, right? So I could go to fucking 1,000 people. I could post it on my fucking server. I know lots of people. He knows that I know lots of people in the space and in other spaces that Destiny's trying to push into, right? So to come to me, right, and say this, it's extremely fucking irresponsible, right? So not
I
retracting that
literally said
publicly
that I
after
do
he
think
tells
that
somebody
it
like
is.
me
No,
or
I said that
anybody
he
is
should.
ridiculous.
Wait. I don't know where we disagreed here. I said that I do
You
think
said that
it was,
because it's been made public, because those things have been made public now.
No, I didn't.
It should be
No, I
retracted.
didn't. No, I didn't. No, I didn't. I said that I do think it was irresponsible to say that to you. I do lend some charity that he might have been speaking a little fast and loose with you because he saw you as a friend. We had not yet introduced the fact that you're suggesting that he said exactly those same things to other people. I haven't seen that. If that's the case, we can talk about that. But I feel like I'd
Right.
have
So
to see that.
separate. Even if I
But
hadn't linked the messages,
I also said that yeah, I do think that was irresponsible to some degree, but I also think that he did it in the most responsible way he could do it irresponsibly. He even said, "I'm
no.
going to delete these." If
No,
you're going to
that's-
do it if you're going to do the irresponsible thing that we both agreed was irresponsible,
It's just rumor
you don't
mongering.
think
It's
that-
just spreading gossip and rumors about people, which is that like that's like what do you mean?
I don't think that's the intent.
I don't believe.
I
you.
understand.
Okay,
so
Elder.
but
you don't have to.
but-
you don't have to believe me, but I'm being honest.
But. So again, so even if he looked into this and I hadn't leaked anything, right? I hadn't said anything to anybody, and he just did his investigation background and found nothing. Right? Found
Yeah.
nothing aside from him feeling abused because of the Reddit thing or whatever the fuck. If that had happened, I think it would still be reasonable to expect him to put out a public post somewhere.
I said that.
No,
I agree
you
with this.
didn't. You said that because it's been made public, he should do this, right? But I'm saying that even if it hadn't been made public, him looking around in the background about this shit and framing it the way he did, I think makes it reasonable to require him to post a public statement about it.
Okay, so hang on. If he worded it the same way that he worded it to you, somebody that he thought was not going to spread it around or whatever.
Somebody who
then
thought
yeah.
that was just like hold on to it and think these terrible things about Destiny without telling me.
Well, I think that it's also okay if he reached out to those people if they didn't say anything to anybody, and he just said it to them too. Like, it's probably better to just say it publicly that there was nothing like that. But I also think that it's okay to reach out to the people if nobody leaked it at all and nobody knew that he said anything like that in that framing. If he reached out to those people and corrected that, I also think that that's okay too. Maybe even better because then he's not even putting it out there that he had any reason to think that to begin with. I think that these things are kind of complicated, and when you're asking me for
Not
like
that
what's the right
complicated.
answer. Okay, well,
It really isn't that complicated. I think you're trying to make it
I
complicated.
feel like it is. Okay. If so, then I'm not super aware that I'm doing it. I'm trying to be like 100% upfront and honest with you. If you think that I'm trying to lie to you and I'm trying to mislead you, you can
maybe
say that.
you're not trying to lie to me. Maybe you're so lost in this like
Totally possible.
you just want to be so charitable to him that you're saying and thinking ridiculous things on like that path to be charitable to him.
I try to be this charitable to everybody, though.
You think that
I
at
say
like
that
a
if you say
certain
if
Hold on,
this
point,
is
hold
true,
on.
then
Sonia,
you
I
kind
Sonia,
of
Sonia, go ahead. Because I kind of want to hear what you think.
I think that at a certain point you kind of realize and kind of draw in the charitability a little bit at a certain point. Like I've done that. I'm a very charitable person, and I was very cautious about how it was. I was judging a lot of things that were going on with Max recently, but little by little, I had to go like, well, hold on, this is unethical. This is inappropriate. This is actually doing more harm than it is good. And so I had to stop being as charitable and instead start really scrutinizing a person that I had a lot of respect for and I thought I understood and I used to support. Somebody who I went to bat for when he lost both of his channels, well, Twitch and YouTube. So, and I went to bat for him. I even helped, help build on his positions that he took to Steven to push back on Steven's particular approach to platforming Nick Fuentes. So at some point you kind of have to realize, all right, well, he's doing harm here, and this isn't good for him or anybody else. Time to stop being overly charitable.
So guys,
Well,
I think it's 4 a.m. where I am, so I think I'm gonna
Same.
start like wrapping this panel up. So
Yeah, I'm
I'm
getting
gonna
tired too.
give you guys, the ability to say anything closing if you want, and then probably gonna close up the stream. So
Can I
I
ask
just
one
want
last question of
can I just respond to Zena
ElderDrazi?
like super
Sorry.
quick? I just want you to know that I understand everything that you said prior to even saying it. But also, that's the reason why I never said that you did anything wrong by not taking his side here. I understand
Yeah,
how you feel,
thanks.
and I respect your position on it.
I
Thank
think
you.
Fawcett had one last question.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. One last thing. So, what do you reckon happens next? So, you've looked at this as a whole pattern. Might have been planned. Might not have been planned. It's worked out this particular way. We've landed here. What do you reckon is the next thing in this saga? If you had to make a prediction and doing it with your admitted view about Max's consistency over time.
Well, I just the only thing that I've thought this whole time is that I have to wait and see what he comes up with, because he said it may very well be the case that he doesn't find anything else out, and I'm going off of that. He's not. I think that he's not going to bring forth anything that he can't substantiate, and if he can't substantiate anything else, he will say that. And if I do think that if that is the case, he will make a statement like Dooby suggested he should make, and say that there was no patterns of abuse. It looks like it was just isolated to the one thing that he released about Anna. And if he has any information that he thinks is going to that he thinks changes that statement, then he will release that as well. But I
Can I ask you a
think right
question?
now,
Just
sure.
really quickly, I'm curious because I just when I read that to you earlier, I remember that he said that in a weird way, like Anna is actually forcing Steven to maintain the sexual relationship, right? Like,
Yeah.
so if he thought that might be the case, like why, like how's an Anna the abuser there? Like, why would he be
I
looking
think he
into
thinks it's
that?
mutually abusive. I think he thinks that it's mutually abusive.
Do you know
I
if
think that's what
he
he's
do you know if he
expressing.
reached out to any of Anna's former lovers and tried to figure out if this is a pattern for her?
I have no idea, because I would assume that he would be, if he was doing that, he'd be keeping it private like he was trying to do with everything else.
But I mean, given that it seems like this is abuse, right? I think what he explained was he
He
probably
said
called that abuse.
he
Well,
said
hold on. Do you think
in a weird way
forcing
it's like
somebody?
this.
Yeah. Do you think
We'd have to get
do you think
clarification.
forcing somebody to maintain a sexual relationship with you is abusive?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, if he thinks there's a possibility that that's happening, surely he'd look into that,
I
right?
think that we have to ask a clarifying question about that statement. I think there's a little bit more information that's left hanging there. But if
Like what?
like what? Like, what did you mean by that? Do you think that
Wait,
it's
hold
like?
on. It's pretty straight. Like it's pretty clear what he means by that, right?
Okay, I don't like doing that. I don't like doing that.
Wait, so
where we
when he
have a
says
thing that's
in a
kind of
weird
ambiguous to
way,
say it's pretty clear.
it's like Anna is like wait, I'm gonna read
Yeah,
it
it's
again just for
ambiguous.
super clear. It is not ambiguous. How is
Okay.
it ambiguous?
Well, I mean, I can come up with different scenarios about like what kind of
Do it.
conclusions he might be drawing when he says that. Yeah,
Okay,
and I would
so to be
rather
clear,
hear from
so to be clear,
him
the
than
statement
to assume.
is because the statement is right. Where is it? Fuck, where is it? 1 second. Okay. So in a weird way, she's blackmailing him for more sex, right? So that seems pretty clear. It sounds like there's at least some chance, by his own admission, that she is abusing him. She's blackmailing him for more sex, right? So if his goal is to be the neutral investigator here, why wasn't he looking into Anna? And if he is, maybe he is. I'm sure that he should be. If he's a neutral investigator, I'm sure we can expect an Anna manifesto to come out soon, where he explains that investigation. But it seems right now publicly he's only looking into Destiny.
Sure. Yeah, we know that because what Destiny had done prior. But if so, the only issue that I have here is that I can definitely interpret what he said as a way that would make it to where he doesn't have to investigate Anna. But if I give you what my interpretation of that would be, you're going to tell me that like I'm doing like mental gymnastics or anything. Yeah, sure, but you're going to just say that like I'm
Sure.
like super biased or whatever.
Except that I'm going to disagree with you, but please just say it anyway.
But just my stance on this is that I would like to ask a clarifying question to Mr. Girl before I give like how I actually feel about that. So if what he's saying is that he thinks that she has been abused or manipulated to the point to where that's the state that she's in, that she is like mind fucked into like trying to blackmail him for sex as a result of the abuse, I don't think that that is something that reflects poorly on her. But I don't know what he meant.
So it might be that she's been abused into being the abuser. She's been
she may
abused
have
into keeping him as a sex slave.
Yeah, this could have been the end result, but I don't know. I would like my stance on this is that I would like to get a clarifying question from him. When you say a weird kind in a
When
weird
will you
kind
ask
of
him that
way,
question? I mean, it sounds like you have contact with him pretty often. Like, when are you going to ask him what he meant by that?
I have, if he takes me up on my offer to have a conversation with him about this, then I will.
Okay.
That's something that would just have to happen. I don't regularly talk to him. We're not like good buddies or anything like that. I try very much to respect the fact that I try to respect him in that not like message him when I have like thoughts or feelings about things that I just want resolved. I don't like demand he answer my questions. I don't want to be weird. Like I didn't demand to come in here. I was invited here.
Okay, so guys, I think I'm gonna wrap it up now. For real, because I'm really tired.
Yeah, I'm
So,
super tired.
Yeah, so it was super fun hanging with you all. Thank you for joining. We should do these panels more often because I have so much fun with you guys. So
Yeah.
yeah.
It's nice to- and yeah, I just want to say, like, Elder, like, we should chat soon. Like,
Yeah.
maybe about something else.
If we're not friends on Discord, shoot me a friend request. Anybody, if you ever have any more questions for me about this and you want more clarification about anything, you can reach out to me through Twitter or Discord, whatever. I'm more than happy to talk about this whenever. Yeah, that's it. I think everybody was pretty fine. I'm not salty about anything.
You're gonna go talk
Awesome.
to Max and put a little pressure on him and tell him, hey, this isn't healthy. You need to stop doing this.
I I think that I'm super open to. I think at this point, if I talked about any of this stuff, I would want it to be public.
I think
as someone who is I would say as somebody who is a good supporter, well established in the community, who knows Max pretty well, you should go to him one-on-one in private.
Okay, get out of my voice chat.
Okay.
Get out of my
See you
voice chat
guys
so I don't get
later.
FOMO,
Shout
please.
out to the Stargazers. Bye.
Oh, wait.
See you later.
Can I at least shout myself out, Stardust?
Yeah, shout yourself out. This is
Thank
ElderDrazi,
you.
guys.
ElderDrazi on Twitter, youtube.com/@ElderDrazi because it's dumb like that, and Twitch .tv/ElderDrazi. And a lot of MrGirl stuff, but a lot of not MrGirl stuff coming up too. That's it. Thank you.
That is Elder. Okay, night everybody, night chat, night. Good to see you again, Dooby. I need to
Night,
steal you at
guys.
some point as well.
Good to see you too.
Let us.
Bye bye. Good night.
Love you all. Good night.
Good night.
Oh, you look awesome tonight, by the way, Star. Just thought I'd say.
Thank
Yeah,
you. You're so
just-
sweet.
Because I have no bias or vested interest in saying that at all.